You're listening to The Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of The Practical Wealth Show. This is Curtis May. And so we've got another exciting episode. Today, we're going to talk about creating passive income through investments in real estate and raw land. And so today's guest, Mark Podolsky.
Curtis, close.
Podolsky. Sorry. Also, I should have asked you before we started. Also known as the Land Geek. I like that. Is widely considered to be the country's most trusted and foremost authority on buying and selling raw, undeveloped land. And so today, Mark will share his journey into the world of buying, selling, and leasing raw land as an investment. And he has actively invested in real estate and raw land for almost 20 years and has completed over 5,000 unique transactions at this time. The company is called Frontier Equity Properties. And so, Mark, welcome to the show.
Curtis, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, and also he's got a great book I will talk about later, but it's called The Dirt Rich. Okay, so I love that. Tell me what I didn't say. I've never heard anybody investing in raw land. Where did you start, and what kind of got you, where you're at now?
So I was working as a really unhappy investment banker, specializing in mergers and acquisitions with private equity groups. And Curtis, I hated it. I had a 45-minute commute to work and back. I was micromanaged. I had no control. And it got so bad for me that I wouldn't get the Sunday blues anticipating Monday coming around. I'd get the Friday blues anticipating the weekend going by really fast.
Wow.
Having to be back to work on Monday. So my firm hires this guy, and he's telling me that as a side hustle, he's going to these tax deed auctions. He's buying up raw land, pennies on the dollar. He's flipping them online, and he's making a 300% return on his investment. Well, I'm looking at companies all day long, and a great company is 15% EBITDA margins or free cash flow. Your average company is at 10%, and I'm looking at companies all day long less than 10%. So I don't believe him. I've got $3,000 saved up for car repairs. I go to New Mexico with him. I do exactly what he says. I buy up 10 half-acre parcels at an average price of $300 each, and then I flip them online, and I make an average return of, or I sell them for $1,200 each, 300%.
Wow.
So it worked. So I took all that money. I went to another auction in Arizona where I live. And again, this is 2000. There's no one in the room. I'm buying up lots. I'm buying acreage for nothing. And over the next 6 months, I made over $90,000 cash on that one auction. So I go to my wife. I'm like, honey, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to be a full-time land investor. And she's pregnant at the time. She's like, absolutely not.
Well, right?
So I said, fine. So I worked the land investing business part-time for about 18 months until the land investing income exceeded the investment banking income. And then I quit. And I've been doing it full-time ever since.
Wow. Okay. There you go. That's how you do it. What does everyone always say? Wages make you a living, profits make you a fortune. And then, but you earn your living by day, and then your profits made more than your wages. And now it's time to go. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And now it's evolved where, I can brag to Tim Ferriss. I've got the 2-hour work week where it's all automated. It's 90% automated with software systems, VAs, and just delegating. So it's really an amazing business model. If you want, Curtis, I can walk you through it step by step.
I would like, yes. I was going to say that. How does that work?
Okay, so let me walk you through it. So where do you live?
I live in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, great. All right. So I go to this county in Texas, and I see that Curtis May owes $200 in back taxes on this 10-acre parcel in Texas, and you live in Pennsylvania. So, Curtis, you're advertising two things to me. Number one, you've no emotional attachment to that raw land. You're in Pennsylvania, properties in Texas. And number two, you're distressed in some way financially, because when we don't value something, we don't pay for it. And you haven't paid your property taxes, even though they're only $200. So you've been getting notices from the county treasurer saying, hey, look, if you don't pay these taxes, you're going to lose this property to a tax deed or a tax lien investor at some point. So what I'll do is I'll look at the comparable sales on that 10-acre parcel. And let's say that's $10,000, the lowest comparable sale. And then what I'm going to do is divide by 4. And that's going to get me what Warren Buffett would consider a 300% margin of safety. So I'm not going to be like the housing guys. I'm not going to say I'm interested in buying your land. I'm going to send you an actual offer, with the philosophy being, I don't want to be in the appraisal business. I don't want to be in the negotiating business because I can always make more money. I can't get more time. So I send you an offer on that 10 acres for $2,500. You accept it. The reason being, you're never going to go out and use that property. Now, in reality, 3 to 5% of people accept our quote unquote top dollar offer. Now that you've accepted it, I've got to go through due diligence or this in-depth research. Number one, I got to just confirm you still own the property. Number two, I've got to make sure the back taxes are only $200. Number three, I got to make sure there's no breaks in the chain of title. Number four, I got to make sure there's no liens or encumbrances. All this is outsourced now to my team in the Philippines. We pay about $11 for our due diligence package because they're connected to an American title company. Now, while I'm doing this due diligence, I'm also creating my marketing package for my next buyer. And I'm getting plat maps, I'm getting GIS maps, I'm getting aerial maps, I'm getting pictures of the area, I'm making videos, and I'm going through my due diligence checklist, check. Everything checks out. I buy the property from you for $2,500. Now I'm going to sell this property in 30 days or less. I'm going to get my money out, and then I'm going to make it a car payment. So I'm going to walk you through that back end piece. Now, you know who, I have a built-in best buyer to buy this parcel. Do you know who it is?
The county?
No,
the owner, the seller.
No, I'm the owner now.
Well, the previous people you just bought it from, or
No, they're not going to buy it. They don't want it.
Okay, yeah, they don't want it. Then the neighbor.
The neighbor, exactly, the neighbor. So I sent out neighbor letters saying, hey, here's your opportunity, expand your holdings, protect your views, protect your privacy. And oftentimes the neighbors will buy it. Now, if the neighbors don't buy it, I'll go to my buyers list. My buyers list passes. I'll go to a little website you probably never heard of called Craigslist. And then probably even a smaller one, Facebook Marketplace, and buy sell groups. And then there's the lands. There's landmodo.com, landsofamerica.com, landandfarm.com. So there's platforms that are just dedicated to buying and selling raw land. Now, the way that I'm going to price this is I'm going to get my down payment of $2,500 as a down payment. So I'm going to get my money out on the down payment or within 6 months of the down. And then I'm going to make it a car payment. Let's say $449 a month at 9% interest over the next 84 months. So essentially, it's a one-time sale. I get my money out on the down, and I've created now a passive income stream of $449 a month, and I don't have to deal with any renters, rehabs, renovations, or rodents. And because I'm not dealing with a tenant, I'm exempt from Dodd-Frank, RESPA, or the SAFE Act, any of this onerous real estate legislation.
Right.
And then the game that we play is, can we create enough of these land notes where our passive income exceeds our fixed expenses, and then we're working because we want to, not because we have to.
Wow. All right, hold it. That makes a lot of sense. So you're buying it and then just selling it to somebody that wants it and then giving them easy monthly payments that they can pay. And you just create a bunch of those, and 10 of them, almost $5,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly. And then I automate that back end using a software program called geekpay.io. So it's a set it and forget it system, again, because I can always make more money. I can't get more time. So anything I can automate, I'm going to use.
So one of the things you talk about are you might have hit them, but I want to ask it this way. The 5 reasons you should be creating passive income from raw land.
Well, I mean, the reasons you should be creating any passive income is because you want to get out of what I call solo economic dependency, which means if you're not working, you're not making any money. And so essentially this model, I mean, let's face it, there's nothing really passive, right? Like even if I gave you $1 billion, you'd still have to deploy that money. You still have to do something with it.
Right.
But the idea being that once the effort is completed, then you have this passive income coming in. So number one, you want to protect your essentially the downside of losing a job, right?
Right.
So whatever happens out there, you're protected. And we've seen this happen with a lot of our clients that knew that they were going to be downsized, or eventually their industry was going through a downturn and they were at risk. So you want to create passive income really to protect that risk. Number two, you want to make sure that you really have what I call, climbing the rung of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, once you're working because you want to and not because you have to, you've really created time for yourself to explore what's really important to you and meaningful for you in life. And this higher purpose is self-actualization.
Right.
But if you're constantly working, and then after you're working, you're exhausted, and you come home and you just numb out with Netflix or Hulu,
right,
you don't really have that time or energy to explore that last rung of self-actualization. So for me, what I really think is like this kind of a gateway drug, if you will, to a better life is creating this passive income.
And so you can automate it. So now so let's go back to the front then. So now I'm like, all right, because we know why, because you need cash flow to self-actualize, right? And, to buy your life back and to create economic independence. And so now, on the show, we talk about what I call the 4 asset classes of investment, which is our business, real estate, paper, and commodities, right? So I guess this is real estate because it's land, but it's a combination of real estate, but really paper,
Right. It's really paper because you're not dealing with anything physical. Like you're not going to go on HGTV or the DIY network and see me on my own show called Flip This Land.
Right.
Like the before picture is land. The after picture is land. It's just me on my computer. And what's great about this is that it scales because you can do it from anywhere in the world. You just need an internet connection and a computer. And you can buy land. Like I don't physically go out and look at the properties. Oh, that's all outsourced. I can't tell you the last time I looked at a piece of raw land.
What's a good piece of land for you? Like, is it the area next to the hot area? Is it, are you looking at trends of, okay, there's a big town, there's a lot of space in between this town, but you see areas converging? I mean, where should one start with that? Okay, I like this. And what should I be thinking about? And should it be locally, or should you should be, sounds like what you're saying, just we start with Texas, that you need to think more macro, or more like looking at the map of the United States, not Philly,
Yeah. I mean, Curtis, let's be honest. Nobody wakes up and thinks to themselves, boy, I'd really like some raw land in Pennsylvania today.
Right.
Unless you live in Pennsylvania.
Right.
But Texas, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, California, Florida, the Southwest, a little bit Northwest, California, Florida. These are fast-growing states. These are the sunshine states. And really, that's where I focus the majority of my time now. I've made money in the Midwest, a little bit in the Northeast, but those are really more opportunistic deals. Mm-hmm. Your biggest buyer pool, like if you live in New York or you live in Philadelphia and you can get 40 acres of land in Nevada, let's say, for $30,000 on easy terms, that's irresistible. And it really stokes the imagination. I call it man jewelry, right? Like they just like the way it feels. I've got this 40 acres. I can go out and there's no restrictions. I can do whatever I want with it. And maybe I'll build there one day, whatever it is, but it's affordable versus, if you look for an infill lot where you live, you're talking about $200,000 to $1 million.
Right. It's we're in a very dense corridor. So it's not like every bit of land is, not every bit, but, it's basically accounted for. And in Philly, New York, Baltimore, all up and down that East Coast corridor. But as you go farther down south, Florida, Midwest, I was in Arizona. You can literally drive out of Phoenix and in 20 minutes, you're in the middle of nowhere, like 25 minutes. You're in the middle, like you're in the desert, like what I could get lost here, like you're in a John Wayne movie or something. And so there's a lot of areas like that. Whereas if I guess people have imagination, I guess that they can see them and and people that you sell them to can see themselves doing something there. You just gotta. It's kind of like wholesaling, but not really. I can't compare it to anything. This is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, you could hold, like, I got some clients that they don't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they basically will wholesale the property to somebody like me, a retailer. So they'll lock it up 25, 30 cents a dollar. They'll mark it up 100%. I'll buy it. And then, I'm making 800 to 1,000% on terms. So there's enough, meat on the bone for the retailer. I mean, I think it's okay as a model, but then you're starting over again. I'd rather have that note. If I need cash, sell 12 months of that cash flow to an investor, get my capital out, redeploy it, and get 2 bites of the apple. So I get my money out, 12 months, that note reverts back to me, and get that passive income.
Yeah, I mean, wholesaling, flipping and wholesaling are like jobs,
It's a job. You're right. It's a job. It's a hustle.
It's a job. It's a hustle, or it's a business, like a transactional business, but it's not investing. It's really more, what would you say keeps this from the realm of, or is it low-level speculation? How would you, in your thought process of thinking about this?
Well, I'm really risk averse, and coming from an investment banking background,
mm-hmm.
There is like, I would never speculate. Mm-hmm. So let's just define investment versus speculation.
Yes.
Speculation means that you don't know. You're guessing that there will be something external that will increase the price.
Right.
But you're not sure. But when I buy an asset 25 cents on the dollar, my worst case scenario is about 100% ROI. Even if I make 50% ROI, I have to liquidate, I'm going to be okay. In fact, I would argue it doesn't matter what asset it is. You buy any asset, 25 cents on a dollar, there's someone else on the other end of that deal. And that's why it's a great investment, because you're taking an asset that is for you an asset, but for somebody else, it's now a liability because they're sick of paying the property taxes. And then you're converting that liability back into an asset for somebody else. And you're making it very easy for them to own that asset and enjoy it.
So if let's say I'm new and I like this and I want to fire my boss in 24 months. I mean, what's a real, I know you can't make guarantees because
I can't make a guarantee. I just had a podcast.
Not guaranteed, but you can't guarantee somebody's work ethic. But if
right,
their butt.
I mean, we like to say that on average, our clients are at $10,000 a month in passive income in 12 to 18 months if they work it consistently.
Right. That's because what I find is that, especially if you can automate it, a lot of people, when we talk to people, in the financial space, they're, you need like $2 million in a $500,000, $2 million in a 401k to get any type of meaningful income, and nobody does that. So you really have no choice but to focus on cash flow and not, equity, assets under management that you get, because you just can't get enough cash flow the way the market is. So what I like about this is that, somebody working with you can begin, okay, here's another paper asset that we can begin to, I have a $80,000 a year job, in let's say 24 to 36 months, talk about being super conservative. If I work this 15, 20 hours a week, I could leave and self-actualize myself. Is that
Yeah. I mean, before this podcast, I have my own podcast, the Art of Passive Income podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I was interviewing one of our students, and in 9 months, she's at $6,500 a month in passive income, working part-time.
Wow. And
so we reverse engineered it. We said, look, if you're at $6,500 a month, and let's just say you stopped, right? And we went to, you go to Chase Bank and they say, open a CD, we're going to pay you 2%. 2%. To get that same passive income, she'd have to save $3.6 million.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, and that's just, and we're like, and she has a high paying job. And we're like, well, look, let's just say you can aggressively make 8% and still get that same passive income. She'd have to save $2 million. And we did the math. If she wants to live, has a really aggressive savings,
right.
it would take her 30 years.
Right.
30 years.
Assuming no losses, right?
Yeah. With no losses.
Right, no losses, and saving dollars that the longer you hold them, the less they buy. You know what I mean? And with inflation and everything. And so there's so many moving parts. That's why, with what Mark is saying, you have to figure out how to build cash flow today. You can't eat net worth. You eat with cash flow. You can go to the beach and stay at the beach with cash flow. Okay. And Mark, you got me excited. I'm like, okay, I've never heard about this. I love, this appeals to my lazy nature. I'm ambitiously lazy, so I want to work hard, but I don't want to swing hammers or paint stuff. That's not my DNA. I told people in high school the heaviest thing I was going to lift when I graduated was going to be my briefcase. So,
well, Curtis, you're my doppelganger.
Yeah,
because. The book Dirt Rich says how one ambitiously lazy geek created passive income in real estate without renters, renovations, rehabs. So I literally stole your phrase. Ambitiously. I'm the same way. Yeah. And my wife hazes me. She's like, honey, how come you're not doing this? I'm like, my effective hourly rate's too high. I might as well pay for someone to do it. Like, I won't even park. I'll valet park. I'm like, I can, life's short.
Right. I tell people it's too expensive or it's not too expensive. The question is, can you afford it? And then the question to steal from Kiyosaki is like, well, then the question then becomes, how can I afford it? And now you go to work on, let me call Mark. So I can figure out. So that is, man, it's so, I feel like I should be asking more questions, but it's so simple. I don't know what else to ask.
I think it's the ultimate subscription model in the sense that there's no physical inventory. It's a one-time sale. You get passive income, and really you're not dealing no one's out calling you at 2 a.m,
right,
and saying, "Hey, my dirt's leaking."
Right.
So it's and then it's inexpensive. Because you don't need to start with a lot of money. Like, you don't have to go out and get private funds and investors and, kill your credit with a bank trying to borrow money. Like, I start with $3,000. My buddy Duran started with $800. I've got clients that, they started with nothing. They could afford the mailings. And then what they did was they told the seller, hey, it's going to take me 90 days to close. So they didn't even do an option. They just said, it's going to take me 90 days to close. Well, it doesn't take 90 days to close. It takes 2 days to do due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
So in that time, he just sent out neighbor letters, and the neighbor is like, okay, I'll buy it. So he did a dual close. So he locked it up for $2,000. The neighbor wanted it for 10. He made $8,000 in an infinite ROI by sending out letters.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really the ultimate model in that sense.
So you answered the question I was about to ask. What are these things? I guess there's different prices, but for as little as either nothing, if you're really creative, or $800 to $3,000, you can get into a business and generate cash for yourself.
Right.
Mark, in fact, as we hang up, I'm buying the book. Which I suggest all of you listening go do this, folks. This is. You're saying, well, look, I don't have $30,000 for a turnkey. I don't have this for that. I don't feel like driving for dollars. Here you go. Curtis just brought you a great idea. And so, Mark, how can they find out about you? How do you teach them this stuff? I know you have the podcast. Give them your information, which we'll also put in the show notes, but I want you to tell them.
Yeah. I think the best place to start is really with a course. And I've got a $97 course that I'd love to offer your listeners for free called the Passive Income Launch Kit. So they just go to the landgeek.com / I think it's practical wealth. They can go there and really start getting educated on exactly how we do this, and then really see if this is something that they enjoy or don't.
So y'all can rush to be this. Well, by the time you hear this, I will have already gotten the course. Okay. And because I'm fired up. I don't know about you all. This is phenomenal. I mean, if you can be at the beach, go out, do a little bit of work, make some money, and then go back from your beach house back out to the beach. This is what I'm talking about, what I want for the rest of my life, and just be able to be, what's it called? location neutral where you can make money?
Yeah, I mean, I had a client. They're single. I mean, they're married, but they didn't have kids, and they got to I think they both got to $5,000 a month passive, and they just quit their jobs, and now they're traveling around the world with their laptop. They've got some inexpensive VAs, and they have a limited power attorney, someone to sign over deeds in the state. They're traveling around the world doing the business.
Wow,
they're loving life.
That's how you do it. And so I'm assuming in the system you'll talk about the the support that you build so you can scale this thing. That's all in the the VAs and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Man, that is so Mark, you got any closing words of wisdom for our listeners? Because this has been awesome. I never heard of this. And it is right down my alley. Okay.
Yeah, I mean we're both ambitiously lazy, Curtis.
Yes.
I'd say that my last words of wisdom, I love quoting Zig Ziglar. And I think this quote really exemplifies like this model. If you will do for the next 3 to 5 years what other people won't do, you'll be able to do for the rest of your life what other people can't do. That's my final words of wisdom. That's
Zig is my man. So the guys, I want to thank you and thank Mark for coming on the show. Mark the Land Geek and my doppelganger because my mother was my brother from another mother.
Yeah, there it is.
And for listen, he dropped value bombs all over the place with this. So folks, make sure that you go to the link, you get that course, and you would always say your number one asset is you. So you got to work on your mindset, your skill set, and your network. So now we're working on your skill set. You got to learn how to do something that a lot of people aren't doing. You're creating value, connecting buyers and sellers. You're generating revenue, which allows you to live your best life, to put your kids in the schools you want them to go on their vacations, to get out of debt, to save even more money, all that kind of stuff, just by learning a new skill. So, Mark, thanks for, again, being a guest on the Practical Wealth Show. And you guys, I want you to go out there and call him or go to the site. And I want you to go out there and make it a prosperous day. Again, for listening to the Practical Wealth Show. We're out.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.